name is Jerome Reed. The company name is Rawe Recruits, reaching athletes with education.
Hey, it's Kellen, and today on Diversified Game, you guys, Jerome is going to give us the game on his company, Rawe Recruits. You guys know as a new sports agent, but an old-time consultant, I'm happy to have this conversation and see what he is doing in sports. He's right here in Florida, Gainesville. You might see him in Tampa. Heck, you could see him here in Palm Beach County or Miami if you need to, if your checkbook is right, you know.
Hey, listen, I'll go wherever is needed, or I'll find somebody to be there on my behalf, man. And we leave no stone unturned.
Well, let the people know what Rawe Recruits is all about and how you got started in this.
Right, for sure. So I like to say that Rawe Recruits is a twofold mission. On one hand, we help student athletes get extra collegiate exposure by way of creating skill tapes and highlight tapes for them that get distributed on our platforms, as well as their own platforms that get sent to different coaches and scouts around the state and around the country. So we will literally go into your game, whether it be basketball, football, track, baseball, whatever sport you play in high school, record you specifically, extract those clippings, and get that compiled into one seamless project that we can distribute amongst our platforms. So that's one side. The other is serving as a bona fide high school sports news source for the North Central Florida area. So with me being in Gainesville, we cover that city, as well as Ocala and other surrounding cities such as Suwannee, Hawthorne, and etc. So we're talking game recaps, interviews with players and coaches, live Instagram story posts and Twitter posts. We even go live for games as well, as far as broadcasting the game through our Instagram live, which you've done in the past. So just trying to create a platform that these high school athletes can really look at least in this area, and feel like there's some hope in getting some exposure for them in every sector possible. So as far as how it started, it actually came to be during a class project when I was doing my master's at Florida. This is the fall of 2014, and my first semester, first class ever for the program. And we had to do a business plan for our final project. And, at that time, I'm 23, and I never really had that type of experience of creating a document such as that. So I definitely leaned on my professor as well as some other people that I met along through the program, and thought about my interests and really see how I could turn that interest and that love into something that could possibly, bring in funds one day. And, I'll pivot and say a part of the inspiration of this was a conversation that I had with my high school basketball coach going into my senior year. And I remember asking him point blank, do you think I can play college basketball one day? And I got this very roundabout answer, very non-committal answer, kind of beat around the bush a little bit. Didn't take offense to it, but you just remember things like that. So fast forward to fall of 2014, you channeled that. I remembered that and thought, okay, how could I create something that gives somebody at least a chance at an opportunity that I did not have myself? And that's how Rawe Recruits was born, did the business plan for that. And even present day, it's 2021 now, what I wrote then is a snippet of what it turned into being. I feel that what we are present day has been about 4 years in the making. So since about 2017, late 2016, that's when we started really building into what Rawe Recruits is today.
Wow, what a story. And I found this great talent, Jerome and Rawe Recruits, from one of somebody who I consider a friend, a mentor. He shows me what life can be if you take care of yourself. Mr. Rick Toms, aka Richard Toms, whatnot. Yeah, and I really appreciate, the connection for that. Now, how difficult is it, like if you're coming from maybe a smaller market compared to, you being in Miami, for college students to be able to be discovered? Are the small towns overlooked by many colleges?
I would say so. There's definitely a lot of hidden talent in my city, in these outskirted cities. But I think with how do I say this? With the progression of the travel sports circuit, and we're talking whether it be football, volleyball has a very massive travel circuit. I think football, with the advent of camps and 7-on-7s, a lot of kids are getting looks through that medium. But I think it's less about, at least present day, it's less about the size of the city versus college coaches and scouts aren't really coming to high schools like that anymore. With the advent of technology, you can send a lot of film to them directly. Twitter is a great resource to be discovered on as well. I've seen coaches say, hey, drop your huddle film right here so I can take a look at it through this thread. But I think, again, with the advent of technology and with the travel circuit being so prominent, you got to think, like, especially for basketball, 400 teams in a gym over a 3 or 4 day period. You're playing 11 games a day. Not me specifically as a player, but you're seeing 11 games a day from 8 a.m. to 9 p.m. It's just such a great opportunity to see a lot of talent in a short amount of time. So me as a coach or a scout, I don't necessarily need to go to these high school events. I can just wait till the summer or wait till, a break where these travel events are going on and see a multitude of players that way. So I think that's really the real challenge. If I'm a high school athlete right now, I'm looking at what travel circuit can I be a part of to give myself the best chance of exposure.
Oh, wow. And with that though, and again, I became a sports agent because the rules have changed with the name, image, and likeness. And I knew that there are so many young people out there and their parents who don't even know what a righteous deal should look like. And because we do deals, that's what we do as consultants with big influencers. I knew that the help would be needed, and that some of the agents, who are known, come off as kind of slimy, like it's, I can do this, and here are the keys to the car, and then they sign you into something. It's like a record deal, right? For some folks, not everybody. But with that, have you seen that, the rules have changed? So now have you found that more people are even saying, yo, now that I know I can make money in college, and their parents, are people now even more, excited to get film and send it off and get your services? And are you helping them even like connect directly with the coach? Because they don't want to hear from the parents sometimes, I hear. But, a company like yours, you're at a different level. They might say, hey, we know Raw Recruit only brings blue chip or, real good potential talent. So how has that process been now that the rules have changed?
Right. Well, the NIL is definitely something I'm still exploring and learning about daily myself. I believe that my product, or what I'm quote unquote selling, is the digital tape itself. So I use that to get in touch with the coach or the scout on behalf of them. So when it comes to name, image, and likeness, I've definitely seen even high school students stepping out and creating their own brands and creating their own logos and things of that nature to build up their own platform, which goes a long way if they're already slated to be a college athlete. Maybe they've gotten a few offers, whether it be basketball, football, etc. So they're just building their brand now while they have the opportunity to, so they can carry it into college. But when it comes to how we distribute these tapes, I definitely like to meet and get engaged with coaches at these travel events. You're talking 50 to 60 coaches in a building at one time, and just making these relationships. It's really all about relationships. Definitely like to stay in touch with coaches and scouts around this state and around this country as best as possible, just to not even tell them that, oh, I got this guy or this girl who can fit your program, but it's really about, hey, could I put this in front of you? And even if this player is not for you, do you have any feedback that I could go tell them and their families to either improve upon or keep doing this, et cetera, et cetera. So, and this is something I'm still trying to build daily, even when it comes to our Twitter following. I feel that we have a great deal of coaches and scouts that follow the platform, but in order to make it worth it for the parent, the family, because at the end of the day, 9 times out of 10, the parent is footing the bill for our services. We have to make it worth it for them. And that comes with building the platform with the right eyes and the right audience. So that's definitely the direction I want to move towards present day. How can we build this platform to make sure that whomever we put upon it from a student athlete standpoint, they're being placed in front of eyes that make sense, if that makes sense, Kelly.
No, it definitely does. And what I found that there are still parents and players who don't even know the rules change. So for a teachable moment, when you talk about events, can you name your top 2 events that you like here locally in Florida? Charity always starts at home, folks. For those who say, well, I heard something about it, or what events are there? There's high school games on Friday, and then there's college games on Saturday. What events do you like, and where can people, maybe even find and network with you there?
Right. I'll go strictly to basketball because I've done the most work in basketball, but 2 that immediately come to mind is Scott Golden's Hoop Exchange event. Now, he holds a couple per year, if I'm not mistaken, and we're talking at least 200 kids in a gym. He's been doing this for, I want to say, at least 2 decades, probably even longer. So he's built up a great following and a great trust amongst his audience of coaches and scouts to say, hey, these kids that are coming in, you're going to find something that works for you and your program somewhere. Just get in the gym and take a look. I've been to a few Hoop Exchange events. They're usually done in the Orlando area, and he does an awesome job with that. Another one that I would say is the Prep Hoops Top 250. The organization is called Prep Hoops. I'm talking Prep Hoops Florida, which is a division of the entire entity, and a guy named Jake Perper runs that. Now, I've known Jake since undergrad days, so going on 10 years now. Awesome guy, and another guy who is extremely well connected with coaches and scouts, not even in just this state, but surrounding states and around the country. So that's another event, and it's been held in various places. We're talking Winter Haven, have seen it done in Orlando as well. And again, another opportunity for 200 kids to get in the gym and perform in front of coaches and scouts, whether they are in person or watching digitally through platforms such as Baller TV or Be the Beast, where they set up cameras on each court and broadcast each game that's played on each court. So those 2 for sure. If I could offer a third, Marcus McGee's Best of the Best. He runs another great event for not just high school, but middle schoolers as well. And over the years have definitely seen some kids that were a part of that camp, or those camps rather, go on to play great college ball, and even some going to play pro ball, several years later. So those 3 come to mind immediately.
Well, I appreciate that, and I hope the audience does too, because now you can put some stuff on your calendar. You guys can do some Google search, but links are in the description where you can holler at Rawe Recruits and say, well, I'm trying to get services, and can you repeat that again for those of us who are stuck in the mustard trying to catch up and get on that level. Now, a lot of people think that, okay, if you're going to be in Florida, I got to go to IMG Academy.
Right.
And I don't know anything about IMG except that they recruit the best of the best from, around the world. Seems quite expensive. Have you found that IMG Academy have you been able to connect? Is it worth it? Or is that for, well, I don't want to say that, but your opinion of IMG Academy and how, is that beneficial, let's say, for a basketball player or whomever who wants to go there?
Right. Yeah. IMG is a beautiful academy. It's a beautiful facility. I've had a chance to go visit their facilities and go to events that were housed out of their spaces. So I think they run a top notch program. I've seen their national and some of their regional teams play. And what's cool about IMG is obviously you have your national team, which is cream of the crop, but their lower teams, quote unquote, like your regional or team A, team B type squads, they have great talent as well, all across the board. So I think they just have figured out how to groom their up and coming talent to make sure that they're ready if they are able to make it towards that national level themselves. And I also think about schools in the SIAA conference. I'm blanking on what that acronym is, but it's basically adjacent to your typical public high school. So we're talking about teams such as the Rock School, which is here in Gainesville, Victory Rock, West Oaks, teams that have great talent across the board, but not necessarily on that high national scale that an IMG or a Montverde would be. And I actually taught digital media at the Rock this past school year, and while I'm telling you, the way that their basketball program is ran, they have coaches who really care about them. They have coaches who really are going to bat for them when it comes to trying to get them the best exposure possible. And if you were to ever go in their gym, I'm talking banners are surrounding the gym, not of championships or anything like that, but of kids who have signed with the year that they signed. I'm talking at least 50 names are hung around the gym. So if how do I say this? If a parent is looking for an opportunity to put their child in the best position possible to get seen, there's obviously great public schools out here in our state, don't get me wrong, but the SIAA conference is equipped for that. They travel for that, they play the right competition, and they're just all top-notch programs for sure.
No, that's good game. That's really good game for y'all. Now let's talk about your work, and have you done anything with international students? Africa is a big thing. We try to do as much business as we can on the continent with the different 54 plus soon to be and counting countries. What could a student out of Sudan, they're 6'9", Benjamin, I'm talking about you. Shout out to Benjamin in Sudan. 6'9", can ball all day and says, hey, I want to, play ball. Now, me as a sports agent, I'm not in necessarily recruiting, but I can have conversations like these that can help, because I don't even know if it's legal for me as an agent to try to, hook up a player with a college. That's more than name, image, and likeness. That's a different service. And there's people who do that, right? So somebody like that who says, I want to come to the States and I want to show you I can ball. Can you help them with that? Can they send their footage with you and you put them in a network?
Yeah, so that's funny you bring that up, because just a couple of days ago, I was reached out by, how do I say this? It's a group that is a basketball academy in the Africa area. I'd have to look up exactly where, but I know that they're in Africa. And the representative behind that told me that he had a few kids that he feels can play at the next level, just has to get that visibility. So I wouldn't have the ability to like fly somebody in from, an international sector and say, hey, like go here and there. But I do ask for film. I take a look at that film myself. And if there's, a prep school or an SIAA school that I know takes overseas student athletes or has the quote unquote scholarships to bring them in, I'll shoot them the film and say, hey, like I just got this sent to me, take a look at it. If it makes sense, go further with it. If not, carry on. But, I definitely don't want to just leave a message where it is and say, oh, I'm here in Florida, I don't know if I can really do all that. I'll at least give it an attempt on their behalf, because I know there's some great talent overseas. Now, one thing that I will say, I've been reached out directly by, Sudanese players such as what you're mentioning, but they didn't have any film to send. And that's just going to be step one. Like, as much of a desire you have to play the game, you have to give somebody something to look at. So for for your guy here that you just mentioned, if he continues to reach out to personnel here in the States, just make sure you have some really solid in-game film. Workout film is cool as well, but I think it's really imperative that you have like a great visual to show someone and not just some, pickup basketball, because sometimes that's just not enough. So, just like you would apply for any job, especially in the digital space where you're a content creator. They want to see reels, they want to see pieces that you've done and executed. So even in that same regard, as a hooper from overseas, I got to do the same thing. I got to send you my best foot forward.
Okay, and how much is too much? Because, and I'll say this for like music, back in the day, because things have definitely changed. But when you actually had to, send music,
absolutely.
yeah, you never send more than 3 songs because you lose them after the third. But how much is too much film? Because should they do the whole game? Should it be 3 games? What's the magic on that?
I would suggest sending like a good 2 minute and 15-second highlight tape, as well as your best full game, where if I'm a scout or a coach, I can look through it uninterrupted. I'll be able to see not just your play on the court, but body language and how you comport yourself when you're on the bench. What are you doing in between plays? I can get a great sense of all of that by looking at a full game tape. But, that highlight tape where it's, 2 minutes or so, that's a great appetizer. And if it's good enough, we definitely gonna want that entree, which is the full game. So I think sending both of those together could go a long way with somebody.
You've seen a lot of basketball. Would you say that you've seen, because one thing about, I'll say for African students, they come usually very humble, very ready, and most international students, they're happy to be here because they know there wasn't, a ton of people who came from where they came from, even if they came from the best situations, right? They could be the president's son. But now that you're here and you're able to play, and you get the uniform and you put on the Nikes and, maybe you're being even spoiled. Have you seen that their game is up to the level as someone in America? And I say that being an American, it's very biased, right? But there's a different level from playing high school to college. But when you go overseas and you see certain sports, you're like if I go play soccer anywhere in Africa, I'm trash. I might be solid here, but I'm trash.
Right. That's the sport of the world, though. Not to say basketball isn't, but that's soccer is the sport of the world. That's a real global thing.
Yeah. So have you seen, is there a learning curve, or is basketball and the way we play here or in Harlem is the same way you've seen them play in Sudan and Kenya and everywhere else?
Well, I do think just from the tapes that I've seen from kids overseas, especially in Africa, I think there's a level of passion that they exude on the court that sometimes we in America may overlook. Because I work in the media, and I guess I'm guilty of kind of contributing to this sometimes, but I've definitely run across student athletes in my state and adjacent states who are playing for the camera. And, maybe it's less about the dog and more about the flash for some. When I see overseas kids who are really trying to get here, this is, to them, they might as well have been a first round pick in the NBA to make it from Africa to the States and play. So they're going really hard in these tapes and, diving on the ground. And I think one of the lost arts about this generation of basketball is just being vocal when on the floor, like calling out the defenses, pointing, just being loud and distracting your opponent by your voice when the play is going on. I see a lot of that from Sudanese and other African players that I've seen in the past. And I don't want to give off this impression like I've seen a lot of this film. I've maybe seen 8 to 10 kids who have sent tapes like that or full game tapes such as that since I've been doing this. But that seems to be a constant, just this constant desire on the court to be as vocal as possible, to get as gritty as possible, and to be the dog that colleges and scouts in this country want to see. So when it comes to any overseas players, I would just urge them to keep doing that. And I would urge the same for American players. Like, don't lose that hunger when on the court. I know it's cool to, play against friends and things like that. When they are on the court, they're not your homie no more. Like, I'm trying to beat you because my opportunity for the next level is on the line, just like yours is. And it's all love when the whistle blows at the end. But before then, I got to go at you. And I think overseas players get that. And I want to see more of that from American players.
Oh, so it almost sounds like you're saying the international players are more hungry. And so we may see a shift. And we saw a shift in the Olympics, like the recent Olympics, where, I'm from the era where the dream team, where you had Magic and Charles and Jordan all on the same team. We sent the best of the best. And we don't talk about, anybody who might have been born somewhere else. But it sounds like that shift is coming. Because when we don't send our creme de la creme players, and when we get beat in America, I'm like, in basketball, I'm shocked. Because, I'm just biased like that. I'm used to, folks really going out there. But I also know, go ahead if you had something to say.
No, I was going to say, like, the way that the game is visible, present day, I think is contributing to the uprising in talent from a global stage for basketball. Because you got to think, even 10 years ago, 15 years ago, you just didn't have the game in your palm like that to access. You can go to YouTube right now and look up drills all day, practice them on your own, and really get better. When I was in high school, I graduated class of 2009, and you really kind of had Ball is Life and One. That was like the two monopolies when it came to, having basketball visible adjacent to, ESPN or TNT or whatever was going on. So the fact that you can literally access the game so easily, it makes it easier for everyone around the globe to get better because you just have no excuse now. It's right there. So when I see, America losing to other countries, I'm not exactly even shocked. Like, if you want the game to advance, you kind of want that disparity in talent across, well, not disparity, that's the wrong word, but you want this uprising in talent across the globe to know that the game is really growing. And I think about somebody like David Stern, God rest his soul, when he first became the NBA commissioner, that was like a part of his dream to make the game as global as it is. And so I say all that to say, no, I'm not surprised when I see, our players, taking a loss from somebody overseas. I think you just want to see that growth from around the globe. But when it comes to the hunger, I've definitely seen student athletes in this area dive on the floor and be vocal and do all the things you want to see out of a hungry player. But at the end of the day, if I'm coming from overseas, that is an opportunity that they cannot afford to take a day off from, like, at all. Because again, like, they're looking at this, even just getting here to a prep school, they're looking at this opportunity. Number one draft pick. That's the mentality they have behind it. Like, that's the cream of the crop for them. So, yeah.
Okay, yeah, and you guys, we're talking about America losses, but when America loses to Australia, to France, you're like, hold on, what? We are America. We're not supposed to lose in basketball. It's like us losing a rap battle or something,
But I mean, but again, look at some of the international players in the NBA. Like, some of the best players in the league are from not America. I mean, I think of Australia. I think of Patty Mills. He's not necessarily like an all-star, but he's a very solid hooper. I know he's on the Nets now. When he was on the Spurs, he was like one of their better guys, I personally felt. You think of France, you got Rudy Gobert, multiple-time defensive player of the year, still gonna give you, 19 and 12 on any given night. So the game is it's really growing in these countries that we maybe some didn't expect, but it's there. The talent's definitely there.
Man, the talent is there. But would you say that basketball is one of those sports where, if you're in, let's say, a small town, wherever you are globally, if you need that competition, you need fair competition. If not, you feel like you're an all-star. So to say, like, these guys are good, who did they train with? Similar, just like boxing. you could knock out all of the kindergartners, step up to the 5th grade, and you get the, Mike Tyson in there, the young Mike Tyson, and it's like, oh, I thought I was cold because I was a grown man beating up on kids.
Right.
But I'm talking about myself, Jerome, too, because I go on the small hoops with my kids, and I'm dunking and doing all type of stuff.
Right. Showing up.
yeah. They don't know the hoop is 6 feet, and, if they put me on the bigger hoop, I ain't going to be doing all these moves. But I look good, as a daddy, like, oh!
Yeah, you look like LeBron to the kids, for sure.
Yeah, but no, I love that. Now, do you have any goals of maybe even becoming an agent yourself? Florida makes it so friendly because it's so business friendly out here. Is that even an option for you at this point?
Right. To be transparent, from the true definition of agent, I've thought less about moving that direction. I do want to move into the NIL and see how I can help kids in that arena. I've talked with some parents and some other people who do business in the area to see, like, kind of pick their brain about that. But my true vision for Raw Recruits is to really build these hubs that kind of operate on their own in different metros throughout the state and hopefully crossing borders. So obviously we're here in Gainesville right now, and our hub is North Central Florida, Gainesville, Ocala, etc. But to have a Raw Tampa, a Raw Orlando, a Raw South Florida, Tallahassee, to really have some leaders in those metros and those spaces that can pick up the ball and run with it and build it out there. I think that's how we slowly turn into a multiple site area that can really help parents and student athletes across the state and beyond. Still working on ways to really execute that. I've been fortunate enough to have Raw Recruits listed as an internship opportunity for students through the College of Journalism, the same college that I graduated from, and they can receive course credit for working with Raw and doing certain projects, whether it be field reporting, video editing, etc. So I think that avenue is a way that I could further execute that if we can partner up with different colleges and universities across the state. So, for example, I actually was speaking with a couple of professors at the University of Miami, their College of Journalism sector, to see how we could get it listed for student athletes as an option. Now, if we get 2 or 3 people from that school come this upcoming spring, then that really opens the door to that possibility, because now they all have, in a perfect world, they all have different skill sets. They can come in, they can create content. They could reach out to parents and coaches to let them know what our services are, and so many other things. So that's really the vision, because I think for as many cities as we can get this in, that's how we grow the visibility for everybody.
Okay, and you're focused. So in that arena and helping them. Now, I do know that there are college recruiters in sports where they, take allow the student to put their stuff in the database. And I guess the coaches come in the database and check these databases, and they charge the student, whatever, so much money. Is that something that Raw Recruits does or plans on doing as well?
Are you referencing like a NCSA, so to speak?
Yeah.
So what we've done in the past, we created content for student athletes, and they put that content onto NCSA. And it's, leading with our logos and our information. So I think it's a great opportunity for us to be visible through that platform. We haven't created a portal such as that. That's a level of technology that, to be frank, we're just not at just yet. But I do feel that with the personal connections that I've made and just knowing other scouts in this state, such as Jake, for example, I reach out to Jake and just send him film like, hey, check this out. Do you know anybody that might have a area for this player to land with, so to speak? So I'm just using my personal network at this moment and seeing how far that can really help. But I think having our content be placed on the NCSA platform, that goes a long way as well, for sure.
He's focused, man, like Jay said.
That's my guy too.
Yeah. You are really focused on what you want to do great and expand it out. And I love that, because I'll be honest, as a consultant, we're always pulled here, which just means you got to hire teams of people, which is a great thing. But that doesn't work for everybody. You got to be a little ADHD and dyslexic to make this work, folks. At this level. So I like that. The focus. Even Warren Buffett talks about this is what works. Index funds works for me. Or, this works for me, and that's what I do. Talk crypto all you want. This works for me.
Right.
So I like that focus. Now, with the success you're having, you're still young. We're still young. The best is yet to come. What are the community give back that you're doing or that you would like to do in the future?
Oh man, that's been awesome. And with the name being what it is, reaching athletes with education, it has to be, it absolutely has to be more of a staple on our end to do what that says. So in the past, we've created events. I'm trying to think of what comes to mind. We did an event called the Become Raw Online. That was the name of it, Become Raw Online. And this was a couple of summers ago, but I want to say we had about 12 student athletes of various sports. We rented out the library locally, and I had an intern who was of the PR major, and he helped these 12 student athletes create these online websites for themselves that had, academic information. It had their film. It had, accolades of things of that nature that makes sense to a college recruiter and really just helped build their personal brand. Fast forward to kind of present day. I mentioned the Rock School earlier. This last January of 2020, I held this sports journalism seminar at the school where for 2 weeks, I had about 20 students. Some were just students, some were student athletes, and we were able to bring in different professionals from around this area and around the state to teach them the tricks of the trade of this sports journalism field. So I mentioned Jake a couple of times. We had him come in and speak about scouting. We had another guy come in and talk about videography. Somebody else talked about photography. Somebody else came in and talked about play-by-play announcing. So a part of this whole vision, and I think this is the vehicle on how to pay it forward through the things that I personally love. How do I put this field into the eyes of the up and coming generation so that they want to be a part of it? And I think even present day, just as recent as last week, I had a parent come up to me and say, hey, remember that seminar you did almost 2 years ago? We would love to see that happen again, which is why I'm trying to recreate that at various schools. So there's another private school locally called St. Francis. I met with their athletic director and their principal last week, and we're thinking of ways to try to recreate that same seminar with their students. So if we can get that finalized for the spring, I would love to duplicate that at schools around our area and just really get this field in front of these up and coming students and student athletes and let them know that they can be a part of this as well as young as 14 or 15. They don't have to wait till they're, 18 in college to get a handle on what this field entails if they really have a passion for it. So just trying to put my love into that and really make sure that we're living up to that educational part of the coin.
You guys have gotten the game. I could go on and on, but I want to be able to give you the chance to go check out Raw Recruit, tap in for those services before I go into, I could go on and on. Jerome and I could do this. We're going to do this off air, probably be even a better conversation, but we're going to be saying some things that might go over the head of the general services of Raw Recruits. So I really want you guys to tap in. Jerome, is there anything you want to leave the people with and let them know where they can connect with you?
For sure. So our website, RAWE recruits.com. Our Twitter is raw_recruits. Our Instagram is at raw recruits, and that's RAWE recruits. And, for any parents that come across this, especially, and I want to talk to parents directly, just support goes so far, regardless of, if your child plays a sport, if they, have an instrument, if they have another craft that they really feel that they love doing and love being a part of, just really nurture that. Just try your best to nurture that. I think, and I don't have any kids, but from what I've seen certain families and parents sometimes kind of get too tunnel vision on what they feel like their child should be doing. Let them explore. Let them really figure it out. If it's sports, great. If it's music, great. If it's art, great. But just support. That's the number one thing that I feel like could always be improved upon. Even if I come across students and student athletes that, you know, want to do something else other than sport, but they just like sports, this is the vehicle to that. This could be something that really sets the foundation for what you do for the rest of your life. So I definitely like to talk to student athletes about more than just the game, but what they want to do past the game. So all in all, just let's keep supporting our youth. Let's keep supporting this next generation, because I really feel like that's part of why I was placed here, to feed into that.
You guys have gotten the game, and he even gave you ladies a tip. He said he's available, and you need to be a high value woman. You know, you guys make sure you share this game. It will change somebody's life. Be blessed, y'all.
Are you tired of the rat race in America? Are you ready to visit the motherland to relax and rejuvenate? Are you ready to explore all that Africa has to offer? Then check out the brand new Diversified Game Academy course, Prepare for My First Trip to Africa. Are you worried about being able to afford the trip? We got you. We will show you how to travel either on a budget or as a baller. Learn how to stress the value of the USD. Did you know that 100 United States dollars is worth over 1,000 South African rand, or 10,000 Kenyan shillings, or 54,250 West African CFA? Are you worried about taking your kids? Get the game from Kellen Cash, a bona fide world traveler, having traveled to almost 20 countries, several of those in Africa. Get the game on taking your kids on their first trips. Learn how to find the best tickets, get the visas, and plan your own adventures in Africa. Don't let Eddie Murphy have all the fun. Plan your own coming to Africa trip starring you, produced by you, and featuring you. If you are ready for a life-changing experience, sign up for our course today, Diversified Game Academy. Get prepared and purchase at diversifiedgame.com.